In the mid-19th century, the natural beauty of the Hawaiian Islands collided with a devastating new reality. Foreign traders and sailors had introduced a highly contagious, incurable infection, Hansen's disease, commonly known as leprosy. Fearing a massive outbreak, the Hawaiian legislature passed a desperate quarantine law in 1865 to permanently banish the infected. The government chose the Kalaupapa Peninsula on the island of Molokai as their quarantine zone. It offered a brutal, inescapable geographic advantage, a flat land completely trapped between the crashing ocean and a sheer vertical drop of towering, impassable green mountain cliffs. Over the following decades, more than 8,000 infected Hawaiians were forcibly removed from their homes and shipped to this remote settlement. The Royal Board of Health dropped off food and basic supplies, but provided no proper health care, no law enforcement, and no infrastructure. The policy did exactly what it was designed to do. It isolated the sick, but in the process, it stripped thousands of people of their families, their physical autonomy, and their basic human dignity. Half a world away, Joseph de Veuster, the youngest of 7 children, walked away from his family's corn business in Belgium to join a Catholic missionary institute. In 1863, when his older brother fell ill and could not complete a scheduled mission to Hawaii, Joseph volunteered to take his place, deliberately posing for this portrait with a crucifix before his departure. He arrived in Honolulu in early 1864, was ordained as a Roman Catholic priest, and took the name Damien. For nearly a decade, he served successfully across several parishes on the main islands, but the crisis on Molokai was escalating. The local bishop gathered his priests and asked for volunteers to minister to the quarantined exiles. The bishop explicitly refused to make this an order of obedience, knowing that sending a priest to the colony was effectively handing him a death sentence. Damien volunteered immediately. He understood the biological reality of the disease and the hopelessness of the colony, yet he made a conscious, deliberate choice to step directly into a total vacuum of human compassion. On May 10, 1873, Father Damien arrived on the shores of Molokai. The original plan was for a rotating chaplaincy, where priests would serve 3-month shifts to minimize their risk of infection. The bleak reality of the settlement shattered any illusion of a quick fix. Damien found 600 people living out their final days in severe physical decay, surrounded by extreme poverty, lawlessness, and absolute despair. Recognizing that temporary charity would never solve the crisis, Damien petitioned the bishop to remain on the island permanently. At age 33, he wrote his brother, declaring his philosophy, "I make myself a leper with the lepers to gain all to Jesus Christ." By binding his fate to the exiles, Damien converted a government-mandated death sentence into a chosen site of shared endurance. Damien backed his spiritual commitment with grueling physical labor. He personally washed the patients and dressed their ulcers. He built a clean water reservoir, painted dilapidated shacks into actual homes, and laid down functional roads. He also refused to let anyone be discarded in death. When patients passed away, Damien built their wooden coffins by hand and dug their graves himself, ensuring every individual was buried with respect. To resurrect the spirit of the colony, he established community leaders. He organized schools, formed choirs, and constructed this wooden church, proving to the exiles that they were still capable of experiencing joy and building society. His tireless labor eventually caught the attention of the outside world, inspiring others to break the quarantine and help. Civil War veteran Brother Joseph Dutton arrived to manage the boys' home, and Mother Marianne Cope led a group of Franciscan sisters to run the home for girls. By living among the patients as an equal, Damien rebuilt a functioning society where the state had only seen a waiting room for death. After 11 years of intimate, unprotected care, the inevitable occurred. In 1884, it became clear that Father Damien had officially contracted Hansen's disease. He did not fall into despair. Instead, he expressed a profound contentment. He was now physically identical to his flock. The final biological barrier between the priest and his patients was completely erased. Over his final years, the disease rapidly ravaged his body. You can see the severe toll on his face and hands in this 1889 portrait. Yet, despite the infection, he refused to stop his administrative and spiritual labor. Father Damien finally succumbed to the complications of leprosy on April 15, 1889. He was 49 years old. His death fulfilled the promise he made 16 years earlier, to surrender every part of his physical self to the people of the settlement. News of his death reached every major city, exposing the global silence surrounding the conditions of those living with leprosy. The highly publicized nature of his sacrifice triggered massive fundraising efforts in the United States and Europe. Large sums of money, new medical researchers, and dedicated volunteers poured into Hawaii. By willingly embracing the world's most feared stigma, Damien destroyed its power over the public imagination, laying the historical foundation for modern global health interventions. His secular legacy remains firmly cemented. When Hawaii became a state in 1959, they were entitled to place 2 statues in the United States Capitol representing their most illustrious historical figures. They chose the Hawaiian unifier, King Kamehameha, and the Belgian priest, Father Damien. His specific methodology of care heavily influenced the next century's greatest humanitarians. Mahatma Gandhi cited Damien as a premier example of heroism, and Mother Teresa, who trained in leprosy care in India, viewed him as the blueprint for her own work. In October 2009, he received the highest spiritual elevation of the Catholic Church when Pope Benedict XVI officially canonized him as Saint Damien of Molokai. The settlement's survival demonstrates that transformation requires a willingness to cross physical and social boundaries and share the suffering of those abandoned by
the society.